That's a
Maybe.
good
Yeah.
point.
Your roll was 0.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because I didn't.
maybe.
Oh yeah, that
That's
makes
probably why,
sense.
yeah.
That definitely makes sense. That
That's
I feel like they
probably
should
definitely
what was
prompt
going
you,
on.
though.
makes sense.
Yay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
we're
should
back!
prompt you.
Yeah,
And be
because I had
like,
no
hey,
idea that was a
level up.
thing.
Can you get more? Yeah.
We're back,
We're
everybody!
live!
Yay!
Yay, we're back.
So, fun little factoid for viewers that may or may not be watching, or the ghosts that are lingering. I live in Maine. I have cheap internet because I don't make that much, and my internet, ever since we've been having a lot of storms here, a lot of rainstorms this week, my internet has been like, hey, are you on the internet at night with your friends? Fuck you, Avery, die. So I basically had that happen. There's not much I can do because I can't afford better internet, so I restarted my computer. Everything seems to be working now. Hopefully there won't be too much issues in the future, but it has been stormy here, and unfortunately when there's stormy, no pun intended stormy, my internet's like, I'm gonna die. So we're back now. What was the last thing you guys heard?
That is an excellent question. We went on about 6 tangents while you were gone.
I think the last thing that we were doing was walking up to the orchard/orphanage.
Yeah, you said
Wherever we were
orphanage.
going.
We thought we were going to an orchard, and I think
Oh,
that is about where
no.
we.
I meant orchard.
It's a combination.
Slip of the tongue. Orchard orphanage. They
Child labor.
no. Yeah. Okay. Back to my notes. I meant to say orchard, and I meant for internet to not bully me, but here we are. So you're walking to the orphanage. Fuck! I said it again. Orchard,
Let's just
Avery.
go with
Orchard.
it. It's an orphanage now.
Orchard.
You're the DM. It's your world.
Come on, Avery. Wake up. Wake up. You're walking to the orchard, the place where trees are, not children. And Auril said, how much did you know about the Traveler? And you both, because of everything the Raven Queen's doing, even Lim and Auril were like, yeah, our knowledge is kind of limited. And picking up from that, Auril says, so do you know who the Travelers were related to by any chance?
I was under no impression the Traveler had any family.
He seems like a single child to me. Sorry, they seem like a single child to me, to be honest. I don't know much about them. They just sound like a single child.
Well, although they do exhibit a lot of single child behaviors, especially their many endless pranks, they're actually my mother's sibling. So they are actually the god of both trickery and life. So the fact that the Raven Queen's targeting another life god and has demoted them to demigod is quite not a good thing. I think we all can agree that, right? To lose a life god, especially by such horrid means. But that's a story in of itself. So why don't we get settled in our temporary safe spot, and get talking about this more. And at this point, I'm going to say you guys arrive at the orphanage. It is a family-run orphanage. It is run by Emily and who's the little turtle girl, and the rest of her family members. Right now, the only people home are both her and her grandfather, who I forgot to name. Quick, Avery, what's a name besides Steven? Because you used that name 5 billion times. Same thing with Orion and O'Brien. We're not doing that again. We have too many NPCs named that.
Stanley.
There we go. Names. Who are the only ones home. And he is actually a cleric who worships Lyra, hence him working with Lyra's kid. And with his help and with the help of Auril, they've managed to set it up so the Raven Queen can't scry on you here or teleport here, at least temporarily. It's not gonna last forever. So, there is a lot to talk about, and I'm not entirely sure where to start, but, so, we covered who the Traveler's related to. What questions do you have? What can I answer?
Well, my first question is, what the fuck? In general, but I don't think that's very specific, so...
My question is also, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I third that question.
Yeah, that is also a question I personally have.
Oh dear.
The answers I can give some. I also have some that I've yet to receive. Um, I'm not one to gossip, but I did actually add a pretty good section to the book, the God Goss. So I think I am obligated to tell you some God-related drama. Um, some people idealize gods. Some people hate gods. Some people don't believe in gods. I'm a bit biased because I'm a god myself, but I personally believe, and this is quite a controversial opinion, that gods are really just people with too much power, which I know is odd for me to say because I currently wield a lot of power. Um, and I mean, even though I'm capable of doing, bad things with my power, I'm a life god. I try not to. Not saying that every death god or part death god she nods at end is necessarily evil either, but it's definitely easier to hurt people when your domain is literally about hurting people. Um, I should know my other parent is literally the god of war and conflict, so like it's easier to accidentally slip up when your domain itself tends to lead to pain. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is whether you believe in gods, hate us, want nothing to do with us, our actions, because we are so powerful, have a sort of rippling effect that affects your lives, past lives, past people, future people, the world, nature, plants, everything. The very universe, unfortunately, is impacted by our arguments. And the Raven Queen has been to the center of many of those arguments. And um, I only know what I've been told because I wasn't, I'm a child of two old gods, so I obviously wasn't alive for all of the arguments. But according to my mother, and I believe she's a valuable source since she is the traveler's sister, um, quite a long time ago, um, the traveler believed that they found a fate and that they found evidence of the fates existing, which the fates are the only things in the universe that could be more powerful than a god. And many of us think that knowledge is best left alone, left untouched. The traveler wanted to learn more, not to necessarily use the fates for anything, but just to get to know them better and to better understand how to keep the universe safe and balanced. Well, the Raven Queen found out about this, and she um, first tried to convince them to share what knowledge they had, and when that didn't work, she tried intimidating and bullying it out of them, and eventually, when that worked, she framed them for things they did not do, and she framed them so well, and she's just really well spoken that at the time all of the old gods, including my mother, thought that the traveler had done all these horrible things, and therefore they all agreed to demote them. Well, the truth did eventually come out, and because it came out, the Raven Queen started to try to erase the existence of the traveler, not only to get rid of the traveler, but also to prevent the other gods from punishing her for what she's done. The sad part about this is that the traveler really truly does think that they've done these horrid things when they haven't. Like she's manipulated and warped their memory as well. And it doesn't help that some of the things they are truly guilty of. So, for instance, long ago it was made a rule that we are not supposed to interfere with mortals, or better put, not supposed to have children with mortals because our powers tend to overwhelm mortals. Just because your bodies aren't meant to contain this power. I think your friend Lim may be familiar with this because I heard from a friend of mine that they did temporarily channel the traveler's energy through them, and that likely hurt. I mean, not to be morbid, but I'm surprised channeling their energy through you didn't kill you because it hurts. Like it is powerful energy. Even there have been times where I've channeled my mother's energy through myself, and I even have gotten hurt a bit as a middle god. Like our energy is not really meant to be shared, and when it is shared, it's very dangerous and harmful to others. Well, the traveler's always been a friend of mortals. People like them. And the Raven Queen and her siblings have always been jealous of them for being so well liked because they're they can be annoying, but their pranks are like fun and playful most of the time. Like they're easy to get along with. So between everything, she just grew to hate them and to crave power no matter the cost, that she has become willing to hurt anyone and everyone that stands in her way. And um, because the truth did not come out so late, and because the truth is getting lost, because it is quite scary to admit this, but she is manipulating and erasing the memories of gods, and even starting to corrupt some of the younger gods and like the lower gods as well. The truth is getting lost and might get buried once again. So I really need, unfortunately, I have no choice but to get involved in Mortals and ask your help for this. And as much as I hate to ask for your help in a matter that shouldn't be, we shouldn't have put you all in this situation in the first place, I have no choice, because if I leave this alone, and if I rely on myself, like if I forget all my memories, who's gonna help them? Like I need to have a backup plan, and you all are gonna be my backup plan. That is, if you're willing.
Sure.
Yeah, it shrugs. I mean, considering my parents got involved in this not through their own choice, I mean, I guess it'd be weird of me to back out now. And it was pretty disturbing what happened with N just now. That's not okay.
When you suggested that we take people to the Feywild, are we going to the Feywild with those people? Question mark. Or
Good question.
like, what's the next? I know what the big picture is, but what is the next small step in our plan?
Well, the next step is actually, it's a bit wild, but I need you to hear me out. So, the reason you're our mutual friend, and she motions to the two cards that Fynn has, our mutual friend was able to teleport me, is that I happened to be on the mortal plane. But typically they can't teleport me across planes, so I wasn't taken from the Feywild. Our next step is to go to the Feywild, but because I'm a middle god and a young god, I can't make gateways to the Feywild at will. Only my mother and old gods can do that. Well, only life gods can do that. Old life gods, I should say. So we had to go look for a old, dormant sort of Feywild portal, and I can awaken it for you, but I can't make one here. So you will have to travel. There is an old dormant one back in Alphos, coincidentally near that store that sells all sorts of funny things like pumpkin lemonade. I thought it was gonna be gross, but little June really sold me on it, and I tried some, and it was actually quite good. There's one near that store that I could awaken for you, but we would have to travel back to Alphos. And our next step is actually to help an ally of yours. I think you've already met them. They came to you as a what is the disguise he was using recently? He tries to change it so she doesn't catch on. I think a scarecrow was what you might have met him as. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
We do.
Unanimously.
Everyone just like a chorus of yes.
So I can't say his name, especially not on the mortal plane, where even though we had these protections up, where there's even a slightest chance that she finds out who it is. But I do have someone close to the Raven Queen that is acting as a double agent of sorts. The downside of them being so close to her is that her corruption powers and her other means of suppressing and erasing the thoughts have really weakened him, which is why he's been having to go into these scarecrows and things, because he's not strong enough to do much else. So for him to really be able to help us stop her, we need to either, subdue her, which we can't. I don't. No offense. I don't think any of you are quite strong enough to do that right now. Or we find him a vessel, so a mortal body that he can use to further separate and hide himself from her. Because right now he's basically in his wow, there's really no good like mortal term for this. I guess we're gonna say his soul form, and he's been having to like hop his soul around to talk to you. Whereas, if you got him like a nice solid, strong mortal vessel, we could put him in that body, and he could really anchor to it and not have to like hop around and feel so weak all the time. He'd also probably be able to talk to you more, because I don't know if you guys have seen him recently or not. I may be a goddess, but I can't keep track of everything. Like, I have so many creatures to help. I help, the smallest of bugs to, giants. I can't keep track of everything. But, luckily I know what his last vessel was named. His last vessel was named, well, maybe I should do his description first. So, his last vessel was an elf that looked, out of character. The elf that used to be his vessel, looks a lot like Taika Waititi. I don't know if you guys know that actor / I think he's also a director, if I remember correctly. He's in like what you do in the shadows, what you know in the shadows. That show. He's also been in some other things.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, there you go. I can't remember titles.
He also directed Thor Ragnarok. So yeah.
Yes, Thor Ragnarok. I was like, I know him from a Thor movie. I'm like, connect, brain, connect. Anyway, so out of character, he looks like that. He's an elf, quite a kind soul, longtime follower of both. Well, I can't tell you one of the gods, but worships the traveler and the god that would sometimes use his body as a vessel. I think his name. Oh, he hasn't been seeing him quite some time, but his name starts with a T.
Are you fucking Avery? Basil just starts coughing.
What the fuck?
No. Was it Theodore? Was that the name? Was that?
You know what? I think that was it. How did you guess?
What?
Oh, that's so funny. Oh.
Wow.
What?
You see,
Can I look over at Theodore and see like his reaction to this to see if I should like give away that he is in fact?
Yeah, go for it.
What check do you want me to make?
You can just do a good old perception check for me.
Okie dokie.
Theodore's gone. He's left. He's like,
20,
no.
yes.
Yeah.
So Theodore,
not nat 20.
Still a good 20 though. So Theodore, who was like clearly shaken up by all the shit show that's been happening, like desperately clinging to his shoulder upon like getting to know people more and being like talking to people, is now like frantically like motioning with his paws, like trying to talk.
Has Theodore pooped yet? Because I think I can still message him.
I mean, he is an elven man cursed to be a rat, so he probably has pooped on your shoulder a little bit by now.
Okay, that's gross. I wiped that off.
You haven't pooped yet, though.
Nope, you
haven't. You initiate the message.
Yeah, because I'm like, didn't both of you eat the leaf?
Yeah, so viewers that are new here, the Autumn Wizard, who is part Fey, gave them magic maple leaves that made it so that they all could use message just by not knowing the spell message until they poop, aka no longer have the magic leaf in their system. Just for context.
Theodore like waving. Oh, sorry. Is Theodore waving his hands in like a stop way or like a he's trying to communicate way? Can I?
Yeah,
see a difference?
He's doing it like I'm trying to communicate sort of way.
Okay. I for sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I for sure like look at her and I'm like, that's my rat. That dude's my rat. I hold Theodore out to her like fully, and I'm like, this is rat in his unicorn onesie.
Oh my god, what was it the other person wanted to say?
I was gonna say, does comprehend languages work on rats?
Can someone remind me what does this description of comprehend languages say?
I'll pull it
I
up
think
real
that would
quick.
technically be speak with animals.
Yes, it would have to be something like speak with animals. I think comprehend
Okay.
languages is like, for the duration you understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear.
Oh, okay, yeah, so we're out of
Okay,
luck
so
though.
yeah, no.
Mm.
So like Auril just like gently takes Theodore from you and goes, "No wonder you were so hard to find. You were a little rat all this time." And she like pats him on the head, and then she goes, "Um, is he polymorphed right now? Did she? How long has he been a rat? Do you know?"
We found him in an attic full of other rats and spiders.
Wait, that was is that still canon?
Oh yeah, is that still
That was
canon?
technically
We're gonna say that, yeah.
It
I know.
is
I know
now.
that's from the old group, but yeah.
okay. Cool. What Lim said.
She goes, "Oh well, that's quite concerning," and she like pats him a couple more times as she talks. She goes, so I don't know if. Well, you probably don't know how vessels work. Let's face it, we're all new to this mortal god sort of interaction stuff. So, vessels, we're not really supposed to use vessels either, considering everything. But, vessels are mortals that, um, we can. This is. Okay, so being an otherworldly being is complicated and muddy, but similar, but not exactly like a warlock pact. We can form a pact with a mortal being and sort of fuse our souls together so that way we can use their body as a vessel without our power burning them up. Kind of like how channeling power would normally burn you up. Like we can fuse our souls together so like the mortal body tolerates the soul. So it's kind of like becoming super immortal best friends with someone. I guess it's sometimes romantic with mortals. Um I've never really used a vessel, so I don't know. But anyway, more of the story being is that um it's kind of like possession, but instead of like possession is usually like not a voluntary thing, right? But so instead of that, it's like Theodore would have chosen to benefit from working with working with a god, um, and then in turn like had a longer life and healthier, whatever the deal was. And in turn, every once in a while, the god would take control of his body and use it to go under the radar and help people or do whatever. So that's Vessel 101. Poorly worded because I've never really used it other than, what I've heard about it. So yeah,
Avery,
Yep, go ahead.
well, out of character, was that like Kronos slip up on purpose or accidental? Or Cadros?
We're just gonna say yes.
Okay, continue.
Um. So, yeah, Vessel 101. So, as much as rats are cute, it's not gonna be enough to. We need Theodore to be an elf again. Um. I don't know if this is something I can help with, to be honest. You might have to talk to my mother, which is really just more reason to go to the Feywild. So, road trip to Alphos it is, I guess.
All right, and Basil holds out his hand for his rat back.
And she just like gently like passes Theodore over to you, and Theodore's like, Theodore seems content. Like finally, we have communicated somehow, despite me being a rat.
I put Theodore back on my shoulder and just give him like a little reassuring pat on the head. I guess Feywild it is.
Yeah.
Other questions?
So much for talking to my dad, I guess.
Going home?
You're going home. We're visiting your home, apparently. I do have a question. Speaking of demoted gods, oh man, do I reveal this now or do I wait? You know what? Fuck it. Rolling with it. I open my satchel And I take out a very creepy, like, child's doll that looks like its hair has been torn to shit, and I just hold it out to Auril, and I go, "So I'm a warlock, and my patron is trapped in this. Apparently the traveler can help me, but is there anything that you could do for them? They're trapped."
She goes, she says, if you don't mind, I'll just hold them and get a feel and see if I can sense any arcane energy or anything amiss. And she takes your creepy warlock patron doll, and holds Nick, Nick the creepy doll for a moment, and she really seems to be like, and her hands like glow like a soft like mint green as she's like really sensing and trying to get a sense of like what is going on with Nick. And it takes like a good minute. It's like there's like an audible like awkward pause as she goes, as she says, I have never quite encountered anything like this before. Your patron's energy is familiar but messy and confusing, and if I don't know what sort of answer you're seeking, but I honestly can't tell what they are. And she kind of like her hands glow a little more as she continues to feel, and she goes, "Oh my god, this is hurting my head thinking so hard. Oh, it feels like I should know, like it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't seem to remember. How long have you been working with this patron?" Oh, did I cut out? Did I cut out? Ah!
Stormy?
I was like, did I cut out?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. Stormy, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Echo! 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 Let me in.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Oh,
I'm so sorry. My internet cut out.
that's good.
So-
Listen, shitty internet twins.
Yeah. I heard everything before I don't know what, and then it cut out.
Okay, then she said, like, she felt like it was on the tip of her tongue and that she couldn't remember, but her head was starting to hurt from trying to remember, and then she asked, if you knew how long you worked with Nick. I haven't known Nick at least.
I've known Nick for about half a year, but your friend, gestures to the cards, claims that they were demoted. So, if I'm connecting the two dots correctly, I think the Raven Crane may have had something to do with this as well. Perhaps even more severely than the Traveler.
That's that would make sense, because if even I can't remember, she, I don't, no offense, Nick, and she kind of like makes like a please don't get mad like passive hand gesture at Nick, but if my memory of you is so distant and hazy, you are not only likely quite old, but have been demoted for quite some time, and potentially even demoted before my time. So if your best shot really at finding out who Nick is someone who is old enough that they might even have a sliver of memory left. So maybe my mother, maybe my other parent, maybe the Traveler, but you need someone that either is an old god or was an old god or similar age to an old god. Like if you could, I've never met or saw a Fate, but if you could get a hold of a Fate, maybe they could. But as of right now, you feel familiar, but I have no idea who you are or who you were or where you should be, quite honest.
I cover the doll's ears knowing full well Nick can still kind of hear me anyway, just to make myself feel better. And I look at Auril and I go, like, familiar in a good way or like familiar in a bad way?
She kind of thinks for a moment.
Or like familiar in a way?
I'm going to say familiar in a grayish area sort of way. I didn't sense any ill will towards the people in this room, but that doesn't necessarily make one good. You know what I mean? It just makes it establishes that we're on good terms.
Okay, I uncover the ears and I just sort of. Do you mind if I just sort of take Nick back and put them in my satchel?
Just shoves
It's
your
okay.
patron back in your bag.
It's okay. He doesn't need to breathe. He's trapped in there. It's fine. Also, hi everyone. Yes, that was my patron. I don't think that's what he actually looks like, but yeah, that's. Sorry, Callie. That's why I got weird when
Yeah, I was gonna
Snickerdoodle in my
say
satchel. Sorry.
I can understand now.
Yeah, sorry. I should have told you sooner.
It's your business.
Well, now you know. So.
All right. Any?
I have a rat god and you have a doll god.
I have maybe a god in my what the hell?
Well,
This is
technically
weird.
Theodore's not
Fynn
a
is just
god.
like, what the hell?
Technically, Theodore's not a god. He's a god vessel, so he's more like a god's bestie.
Basil just like shrugs and is like, that's close enough.
Anyway, any more questions?
We get to the sorry.
Um,
Oh no, go ahead, Corey.
I was gonna say, so you mentioned that only like an old god would potentially have any idea of who I guess Nick is, right?
Correct.
Could I use this moment to use my amulet to ask the traveler? Like, is the traveler open for communication as of right now? Are the
Ooh,
lines
yeah,
open?
that's a
Hope
good
they're
idea.
okay.
Go for it.
Yeah. So I guess Lim just pulls out the amulet, and, like, kind of taps on it like I'm talking into like a receiver, like, hello, hello. Base to traveler, traveler to base.
That's so
If
good.
you can hear this, because this is the first time that Lim's seen the doll, or any of us have seen this doll, so I guess now's as good a time as any. I got a question for you, traveler bud, if you're there. Do you happen to know anything about? And I'm gonna hold I don't know if this is gonna do anything, but I'm gonna hold the amulet like towards the doll. Like,
Oh yeah, I'll
do you
take it
happen to
back.
know
I
anything
shoved it in.
about?
I'll take it back out.
Oh yeah,
Here
he
you go.
holds it towards it as if like the traveler can see through the amulet or whatever. Like, do you happen to know anything about this?
So
Just right off the top of your head.
I'm because I'm a big bad DM. The traveler can't see through the amulet, so asking, "Have you seen this?" is like, okay, can you describe it, please? For the sake of time, we'll say you describe the creepy doll patron, okay? But like future reference, if you hold up the amulet to read him things, the
It
traveler's
does
gonna be
not look like.
the traveler's gonna be like, listen, you're basically a podcast right now, so I don't know what's going on. But we'll say you
Doesn't work
describe.
like FaceTime.
No, it's unfortunately it doesn't. It's more like old Nokia phone with like, or like an old like rotary phone where you like dial it up and there's like a long wait time.
I see.
So anyway, it's kind of concerning at first because you get a lot of static at first, and eventually you get a response. And the traveler says, "Where on earth did you find?" And then they get the static sound again. Unfortunately, just as they say the name of whoever Nick is. I've been looking for them everywhere. Where are you? Can you tell me where you are? It's important that we meet. And there's more static noise, and then the static ends, and you hear fight sounds, and unfortunately, it seems like the traveler can't talk anymore.
Oh shit! Oh no!
If I still speak into it, can the traveler hear me, or is it just like the connection's dead now?
It seems like they can't talk right now. You can try talking to see if they hear you, but you might not get a response.
I'm gonna like, I'm basically using this thing like a little phone. I'm gonna like put my hand over it, just out of habit, and I'm gonna look at everybody like, where exactly are we right now?
We are in the small city, the small town of Skystead in the country of Oshel.
Okay, yeah. Did you hear that? Say that one more time.
Skystead, Oshel.
Skystead, Oshel. Are we at an orphanage or an orchard right now?
Orchard. I think. It looks like an orchard.
We're at some kind of orchard. Listen, I got like a friend here of yours, I think, named Auril. So, I mean, if you could just use that, maybe we might be able to triangulate a position. Just at your earliest convenience. Miss you, by the way. Bye.
That's so cute. The
And
end.
I'm gonna tuck it back into my robe and be like, well, that's all I got, guys.
And I'm gonna add one thing before you hang up, okay? So just before you hang out, the traveler manages to say in between sounds of static, communication, static noise, compromise, static noise, run. And that's unfortunately where we have to end tonight.
Oh, oh no.
Uh-oh.
So thank you for watching, listening, wherever you're vibing. There will be more hijinks. We play every other Wednesday because for the sake of my sanity, so I have time to prep and do stuff like that. So our next episode will be November 17th. We actually have a pretty cool one in stake for you. So episode 17 is actually going to be our great recap episode. So we're going to play some games, Kahoot, G-Arctic, do a nice like plot summary, NPC summary, that sort of thing. That will be the 17th. And then the session after that, which is going to be December 1st, we'll pick up from here and get going. But I really wanted to every 10 episodes or so do a recap, so if you're new here, you don't feel like you gotta scramble to watch everything and catch up. That being said, we are shorter than Critical Role, so if you want to play catch up, most episodes are like an hour and a half, so you can do it. I believe in you. Remember, all of our information is on a handy link tree. I'm sure one of my lovely players has probably linked the link tree again. If not, you also can go to our Twitter, MWN_pod. And I hope to see you guys all soon. Thanks for listening, and good night. And let me end the stream.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.